Lonely in the morning, so I'm so happy you all made it. So, yes, when I was thinking about the message, a lot of things was swirling in my head for last 2 weeks. So I think to kind of preface the sermon, I just wanted to say that I am inviting you to on a journey with me. Yeah, I don't think the message is very polished, and I feel like there's a few things coming from like a lot of things that I've been thinking about for a lot of time, and I was sharing with other people here and there. They all kind of tried to bombard, like put cram together in this message. So I apologize beforehand. It might be some different angles on the same topic, right? But I appreciate your patience and I appreciate your open hearts and your support. So, and I wanted to continue talking about the laws of relationship because I believe it is very important, and I myself feel like in my life keep discovering them and seeing how they work. It's really making the biggest difference when you think of them and you think, am I practicing them, right? Again, that it's kind of simple, like with the physical laws, right? We have gravity. It doesn't matter if we believe in it, if we agree with it, it still always works. So these laws always work, and we see even throughout the history, people kept trying to forego them or cut corners, but it never really works. So, and I wanted to remind you this slide, and I get some very sincere critique on that slide. Yeah, from a very beautiful person. Very sincere. How do you think, what was the biggest critical point?
God is in the bottom.
God is in the bottom. How could it be? How dare you? I mean, no, this person was very nice, very sweet, but like, no, God cannot be in the bottom. God is above. So, and then, yeah, but that's why I was so grateful that all of you kind of went alone, and I had a lot of beautiful feedback afterwards. So I was debating when I was yesterday, shall I reverse it? But then I decided to go with my gut, and just in case, to reiterate to you that it doesn't mean that we're putting God down. Yeah, my husband put it very nicely, that it means God is the root of everything. And yesterday also, when I was looking through Father's speeches, I even found this passage, but it was again a lot so complicated and about front and back and left and right and forces. So I'm like, I don't even know if I totally understand this. But the whole idea again was that God is everywhere, right? God is not somewhere on the throne in heaven. Yeah, God is in front of you and behind you, and God is your foundation. God is the root. So anyway, I decided to keep it. So I hope you're okay with that. Yeah, and but I want to focus today on this whole middle section, right? About giving and receiving, or giving and responding, right? That again, this is the flow, and how does this flow goes, and what does it mean to us? Yeah, and here I wanted to read these words from True Father. As an absolute being with an absolute ideal for his creation, God pursues beings who can relate to him with absolute value. This is something that cannot be exchanged for anything in this world. A being that can relate to God has a value that is greater than of God himself, right? You know, this is a very heretical, that's what True Father always said, right? That even this being has a greater value than God. The term, the value of one's counterpart, seems difficult to comprehend. The value of a partner, of any being as a counterpart, is so great that it cannot be exchanged for anything or anyone, even for God. God cannot exchange it with himself, for if he did, he would be left alone. As a result, he would be left all by himself. Again, we see this as a deep philosophical thought of Father here, right? But yeah, this whole idea how incredibly valuable we are, right? How incredibly valuable the object is, right? Again, no matter how much I have, how great I am, but how loving I am, but if I have no one to share it with, everything loses value. Yeah. So, and talking about this point, thinking about this point, I came across this philosophical idea that I wanted to share with you. And I'm sure some of you are much better philosophers than me. For me, it was kind of new. I didn't really read the original philosophical thing, but it's from Immanuel Kant, and apparently it's one of his core ideas, Kant's moral imperative, or sometimes they call it categorical imperative. Have you heard of that? Is there anybody? Yeah, of course, Jim and Cabot. So I apologize, dear gentlemen, if I mess it up, because again, I have very simple understanding of that, right? So, but this is, this phrase, act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether it's your own person, means you yourself, or in the person of another, always at the same time as an end, and never merely as means. Yeah. I know, I heard this phrase a lot growing up in Soviet Union. End justifies the means. Have you heard this phrase?
Yeah.
Do you guys understand what it means? Kind of, Christopher, Winnie, Ray, no? Ellie, of course Ellie understands. Yeah, the idea is if you have a great goal, very important goal, something big that you're moving to, you can cut corners. Yeah, I'm simplifying, right? Or maybe you can sacrifice here and there because it's for the greater goal, right? So you can maybe use something which is maybe not the best methods, but it's for the greater goal, right? It's for this higher purpose, right? So, but apparently here, Kant was talking about that your own person, you yourself, or any other person, always should be the end, can never be the means. Yeah. And again, it's a philosophical thought, but I think it goes very well along with the whole idea, core ideal of principle, Christian ideas, Judeo-Christian ideas, right? Of an incredible value that each human being has as this kind of object of God, right? No matter how small, no matter how meaningless, right? No matter how, again, where do they live, how do they look, how well their brain works or doesn't work, right? Even what they did, each person is an end in themselves, right? And that's why, especially, again, for me as a person from the former Soviet Union who I didn't really live through this, but I have all those stories and memories that I heard from my people, and it's actually, again, coming back again, kind of to the same idea, right? That there is some greater goal that somebody determined, and it might be great, right? We're not even talking about when goal appears to be not so great. But let's imagine there is a great goal. But if for this great goal, any person, any human being as an incredible object of God's love should be used or overlooked, then the goal loses its value. Yeah? But what made me think about this whole point, I think again, this one phrase, this one statement, basically the idea is if you live your life thinking about that, believing in that, trying to practice it, then you'll be a moral person, right? Then idea, and again, this is, I'm not going to talk about all parts, but you see here, humanity is an end, right? Treat every person as an end, not means, and it means respect, don't exploit, and serve with love. But I thought that even the deeper level would be, at least for me this week, I thought about it a lot. What does it mean that I cannot even treat myself as means to an end? Yeah, have you thought about it? Yeah, I'm sure sometimes every parent has this kind of feeling, right? That, oh, I'm not important. Right, again, no, I need to do something, my child needs me, so. Yeah, I remember reading a parenting book, and I'll come back to this point again. It was a very great book. It's called Scream-Free Parenting. And the idea was, yeah, how can you become collected, calm, and regulated parent? And there were a lot of things. But he had a very good point, author. He said, if we truly practice what Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself, especially love your child as yourself. He said, what are you, when you're preparing lunch for your child, right? Imagine if you would prepare it as if you prepare it for yourself. Sometimes your child will find half a bagel and cold coffee in their lunchbox, right? Because that's how we sometimes treat ourselves, right? So isn't it interesting, right? And that's what I wanted to talk about it today. How do we treat ourselves? What does it mean to not treat anyone, even yourself, as means to an end? And this is another parenting thing. Again, please bear with me. You know, that I feel like my biggest credential in my life. Sometimes I tell people I'm a professional mother. Yes, I do have bachelor's degree, but it was a long time ago. But I spent 20 years being a mother, right? Even before my children were born, I was in the mother, what we call mother figure position, right? And while my children were growing, I kind of also was taking care of other people, young adults, right? So, and one time, I saw this very simple, it was in Russian on the social media. It said, how about instead of saying to your kids all those commands, right? Go wash your hands, right? Or stop doing that, you're too loud, right? How about do it playfully, right? Try, I give you one example, right? Try saying, I bet the water from your hands will be really black. You want to find out? Even put yourself in this place, right? Think, you are told by your parent you are doing something important, you're playing, and they say, okay, stop whatever you're doing and go wash your hands. Right away you feel resistance, right? Again, if you try to imagine. But then imagine this kind of playful invitation, right? Let's see, would it be black, right? Or you can say again, brush your teeth, but can you imagine there's these little monsters, cavity monsters? Let's fight them together, right? Completely different feeling. And again, I have to apologize in front of my kids. I did learn it a few years ago, and I'm sure they'll remember sometimes I tried to be like that. But unfortunately, again, our default mode, right, is just do it. Again, apply force, apply pressure. And again, why are we doing this? Especially most of us here, we are parents, right? A lot of us here are parents. It's not like we want to, but we just kind of do not know any better. But also, if we look deeper to what I was talking about, because that's how we talk to ourselves, right? A lot of times, right? When we feel like we're falling short, we want to accomplish something, or we have a lot of things to do, or we made a mistake. What kind of voice do we hear, right? Do we hear encouraging voice? Again, do we tell ourselves, it's okay, I don't want to do it, but afterwards I can have a snack, right? Or I can have my nice cup of tea right after I finish this dreadful spreadsheet that I need to send to headquarters, right? I never talk to myself like that. And again, when I started thinking about it, studying about it, I realized, yes, I react much better to love than to force. Even if I know that it's for my own good, I have to do it. I have to be responsible. People are waiting for me to be responsible. right? But somehow we don't think of this very simple thing, that love is always a better motivator, right? And going even deeper, so let me see. Yes, about talking about neuroscience, and I also heard about it recently, right? That this whole idea, right, that our brain learns constantly. And of course, yeah, here's the point that when we're little, when we're young, it learns with an incredible speed, right? The new neural pathways are created every, like, I don't know, millisecond, right? And as we got older, it gets a little slower. But apparently, recently, neuroscientists absolutely established that there's such thing as neuroplasticity, right? If you remember, I talked about it in one of my first sermons. It means until we and as long as our brain is still online, doesn't matter how old we are, we can create new neural pathways. You can teach old dog new tricks, even though it feels like you're set in your ways, right? So, but the trick is, for kids and for adults the same, that those neural pathways would not be formed under stress or fear, right? And that's the craziest thing, right? That's why especially again, more easily can be demonstrated in relationships with kids. If my kid doesn't do what I want him to do, right? We need to go somewhere. We are late and we have to, in the morning, school is coming, right? Time is coming, bus is coming, whatever. The more we get frustrated and yell and where's your shoes, the more slow they become, right? And again, usually we think, oh, they did it on purpose. And we can say a little bit, because yeah, again, we are not created by God to be forced, right? God created everything to work on love. Again, to go back to this beautiful slide, that it's supposed to be harmonious relationships. Again, give and take, giving and receiving, supposed to be always done based on love and free will. And we know God never, ever violated this principle, including letting Adam and Eve to letting them commit the fall, right? Because God could never violate their free will. They needed to choose, right, to do the right thing. So, so that's why connection creates the conditions for growth. Yeah, it is apparently scientific fact nowadays, right? Not repetition creates result. I mean, it does, but just repetition, and again, under what conditions, right? So you can create a neural pathway. Your brain will create neural pathway if you were scared, coerced, threatened, right? In one way or another. But it's gonna be traumatic, right? It's gonna come with a lot of cost to it. The best way, apparently, is persuasion, trust, and yeah, if we again believe in what True Father was teaching us, again, we are created as inherently good. Yeah, that's the fact, right? That many people came to understand. And of course, it's not easy when somebody does something terrible, right? It's very hard to believe that they're inherently good. But apparently, even people like, again, Hitler, or I don't know, Stalin, or Putin, whatever, whoever is your villain of choice, right? They do have this inherent goodness in them. And even they, and again, we know that great people, like Jesus or like True Father, right, and many other saints and sages, they proved it, right? That the best and long-lasting result only comes from love, right? You can win over with power. You can shame. You can win the debate, right? You can win the war, right? But if you didn't do it properly, if there was any free will involved, it will bounce right back, right? There will be retaliation. So, and again, coming back to this, Jesus' words, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. Yeah, this whole point sounds good, but same time, I'm sure you had questions. I thought about it, but aren't we supposed to sacrifice ourselves? How can I love somebody? Isn't it selfish, right? I love myself. Or do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? But again, if we try to go deeper, it's very interesting. What do I want others to do unto me? And again, the problem is, if I don't do anything or not enough good things to myself, respecting myself as this vessel of God, like your father was talking about, then yeah, I will be desperately hoping that somebody else would love me. Right? I need love, right? I keep losing connection with this love, source of love that is always with me. I carry with me in my heart. So then I will start, even if I'm a good person, I will start expecting it from somebody else, right? And I will do unto them, like also I heard this nice paraphrase that sometimes we try to do unto others, so they would do, hoping that they would give it back. Yeah, and we know again that's already, this motivation changes everything, and you felt it in your lives, right? When somebody's so nice, but they're nice because they hope to get something from you. Maybe the simplest example is the salespeople. Not all of them are not nice, kind of, that obvious, but so many times that's what makes you feel like, ooh, do you need any help? Can I show you something? No, I'm just looking. Because they're nice because they're hoping they're going to sell you the most expensive thing they have, right? So they are doing unto you something nice, but not because they're doing it for you. Yeah. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about, are we good so far? Makes sense? To kind of bring this point home, and it is, again, I learned it from the parenting book, but the author based this kind of system and explanation on the philosophical or thought statement sorry, of one of the Christian monks from 13th century, I think. And he was talking about that there are 4 levels of love, right? 4 stages that we have to go through as we grow. And again, they're natural stages. And to simplify, they're called like this. The first level is I love me for me, right? And we could say it's like a child stage. Little kids, and also more recent explanation of childhood psychology, right? That they do not see, they see everything as me, right? That's why they don't have the concept of sharing. I saw it, I want it, it's mine, right? Even if it's in your bag, right? Right? And they see other people, especially their parents, the closest to them, as a continuation of me, right? So it's all about me. But it's normal, right? It's a normal stage that we have to go to learn or to absorb this love. And we are entitled to this love, right? From God, from our parents, so we can really accumulate and have it in our hearts. Next stage is when I love you, but still for me. Again, when I realize if I keep taking Mila's things, she doesn't want to play with me, right? She kind of wants to avoid me, and when they have a birthday party, I'm not invited, right? So I'm thinking, if I'm nice to Mila, then it's gonna have some benefit for me, right? And again, it's very simplistic explanation, but we know, we could say that most of us in the world operate on this level, right? That like, yeah, I'm gonna be nice, but because I receive something. And like I said, sometimes it's subtle, Sometimes even we ourselves believe that I'm such a sacrificial person. I'm such a LFSO, how they used to say, GPA, living for the sake of other person. But if you truly dig and look deeper, you may see that it's because you want to receive appreciation. And maybe not necessarily even from other people, but you want to feel I'm a good person. And I need this validation from other people. Right? And again, that's why we know Jesus talked about it, that if you do something very special like a fasting, right, and it's hard, and you sit there with a gloomy face, then it already defeats the purpose, right? You should do it when nobody sees it, right? You shouldn't do it for the recognition, right? But we know we all did this one way or another. I know I do it all the time. I do something nice and I'm so proud of myself, and I have to say, do you like it? Do you like it? My husband, many times the recipient, or even my kids. Was it good? Was it good? Or like, I'm trying to make this meal, and I'm not a passionate cook. I would rather not cook, but I know it's love, how you show your love to a family, so make this wonderful meal. But they were all busy, and they just grabbed a snack, or my husband had a fast food with his friend and colleague. And I start saying, come on, I was making it for you, and nobody wants it, right? So I definitely love you for me at this moment, right? Did I really make it to bring you joy? And you decided you don't want it. Fine, right? Again, you still know I took care of you, but no, I need to receive the recognition, right? So again, it's not terrible, it's still good, at least I'm doing something for you, but it's still not quite there yet. And so, similarly, third level of love would be, I love you for you, right? You are the center of my life, right? A lot of times, again, people think that's what parenting is about. I give everything. You are the light of my life. Whatever you need, I'll sacrifice. I'll be the earth for you, right? To nurture you, which again is a beautiful, and it's definitely a very noble intention. The only little problem here is that it's not sustainable, right? Again, if I give everything and if I die, especially again, even coming back to these relationships with the child, right? Child needs their parent alive. Maybe sometimes they can share the last piece of bread, right? But if parent is not there anymore, child will not survive, right? Also, not talking about physical things, emotionally, right? Yes, maybe my child needs my attention right now, but if I'm stressed, overworked, didn't sleep for many hours, it would be actually not very, and so I present myself, I need to sacrifice everything. Most probably I'm going to be snappy, and I'm going to do or say something that will hurt them. Do you see what I mean, right? So that's why apparently this Christian monk in 13th century came up with this beautiful concept, which again, in simple words can be said that the highest level of love is when I love me for you, right? You can pause and think about it for a moment, right? It means that I do whatever I need to do to be present for you. So you don't need to validate me. I don't desperately need you to be okay, so I will be okay, you know? And it happens sometimes. You know, I remember having these moments with my parents when I was a teenager, and they were in pieces, and they didn't show it, right? But I knew it, I felt it, right? So that's why it is very deep if you think about it. I want to be present for you. I want to be healthy, happy, filled. So I will do whatever I need to do to take care of myself, especially again my heart. So when you need me, you don't have to feel like, again, your well-being gonna destroy me, you know? Sometimes it happens, right? In the relationships with parents, yeah? That child stops sharing, not because they don't trust us, but because they know if my parents know what happened or like what I'm going through, it will break their heart. So I'm gonna have to carry it alone. Yeah, does it make sense? Yeah. So that's why, and it's a very deep, very sensitive moment. A lot of times, people we love do not share with us, invite us into their pain, especially people we want to share it with, like our children or our siblings or somebody, because they protect us, because they know we're gonna fall apart. Yeah. Again, not always even consciously, subconsciously, right? So that's why being, again, happy, healthy, find our own ways to take care of ourselves, especially, again, our internal state, our balance. Find little things that make us happy, right? That take the pressure off, that give us, again, give us this connection. They actually benefit, in the long run, they benefit people that we are taking care of, right? So to me, again, I have to keep reminding myself. That's why I was a little bit struggling given this message today. When I talked with my husband in the morning, I'm like, I know, it sounds so beautiful, but I don't know how to practice it. I still, even like what he mentioned, yeah, I stayed until 1 a.m. because I wanted it to be perfect. I tried to make slides perfect. But maybe it would be better if I would be refreshed and happy and not stressed. Maybe that's what you would want to see more than beautiful slide, right? So practicing it is a completely different story, right? And again, I think one of the problems that we have here is that in Judeo-Christian values and in our movement, sometimes we took it to the next level of extreme. It's this sacrifice yourself for the others, right? Which again is a beautiful concept, but as we see here, it's non-sustainable. And that's why we see so much pain coming out right now, again, in our church and different countries for this very reason. And especially, again, a lot of times, that's the hardest part for younger generation. Yeah? My husband was a leader of this program, right, for young people to teach them and help them experience deeper relationships with God, and right. But I remember they had to adjust very much from the beginning. In the beginning, I don't know if you heard those horror stories. When we just started our family and our daughter was very little, my husband was only allowed to spend 3 days a month with us. Not for even the biggest practical reason, but because you have to sacrifice for God. God is more important. We're restoring the nation, all those things, right? And but again, then they started understanding, when they tried to see this feedback, they start understanding that somehow those young kids who graduate GPA, they don't really want to come back. And the simple answer is, we respect you guys. We're going to do like full bow in front of you. We don't want to live like that, right? I don't want to be like you, right? So, and I remember again, for us, the most amazing feedback we received when we, of course, changed this culture. No, you're not spending 3 days a month. You try to be as much as possible with your family. But that's what also our discovery, which is like duh, was that we would take our kids with us, right? When we go to the workshop, I remember first time we brought them to the workshop in Texas, and this is one of their biggest beautiful memories. And apparently it wasn't that hard. I could still participate. They played, they like made a movie. They sometimes stopped in the lectures, but then they did something else. We even brought the dogs. And I remember one of the girls who was a missionary, who did the missionary training in Korea, she said that was the first time, one time when we had this candid conversation, so she has the first time I actually started having a hope for my family. When I saw you, your husband, your kids, and dogs at the workshop, I'm like, you can do it like that? You can actually live together, right? You don't just have to work together and sacrifice everything. It's actually about love and happiness and spreading joy. Yeah, so, yes. And my, again, maybe the biggest maybe message and takeaway from today, hopefully, that you could take with you, and I promise you, again, I'm gonna do my best to practice for my family and for you, again, is that finding this ways, little ways, sometimes it's just a little ways, right? We don't even need too much, but those little ways, how can I love me for you, right? What do I need? Like, be this kind of loving parent to ourselves, right? Instead of like, do it, why didn't you do it? Why did I forget it? Or I have to do more, I have to sacrifice. You can, like, internally say it to yourself, yeah? I bet if we drink this nice warm cup of tea, we will feel better afterwards. Yes, I still have to do it. How about first I call Gene and ask him how he's doing? So, or how about first I, again, even watch this funny video with cats, and it's okay. But afterwards, I do what is important, what I have to do, right? And again, with be careful with the people we love, and make sure, especially people who depend on us, who look up to us, that they don't have to carry our burden. But again, it doesn't mean we have to just carry it all ourselves or die carrying it, but we can share it with somebody who is open and willing to love us. We need to receive, right? And yeah, this is one of the beautiful Father's words that I found yesterday, also thinking about it, right? Father says that 1 Corinthians 3:16 states, do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? And Father has this beautiful take on it, right? That means that we are His temple. When you have attained mystical state and offered God a prayer, asking, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Parent, where are you? You will be rewarded with a wonderful answer. God will say, I'm here. What's the fuss about? Didn't you get anything to eat for breakfast? Why are you making so much noise in the middle of the night? When you ask, where are you? He'll answer, where else could I be? I'm in the innermost depth of your heart. I am inside your heart. Yeah. So heaven is in your heart. There is always there this love. And also, recently we were talking about it with my husband, going through a lot of things in the last couple of years. And even recently, when I talk to God, when I'm at the end of my rope, but again, I'm mostly angry at myself. Why can't I do it? Why can't I change my attitude? Or why can't I do more? And I just come to God like that. I never hear, yes, sacrifice more, or do more conditions. I always hear God says, it's okay, just rest. And when you're ready, we can keep going. Or maybe you shouldn't do it. Maybe you just do you, and I trust you. And this is, I think we have this in us. Again, it's just nobody really taught us to do that. And a lot of times, out of best intentions, we actually do the opposite again. Instead of creating neural pathways based on love, that's how God created us to be, we become our own worst kind of disciplinarians. Yeah. So I wanted to leave us with those words. Remember that God is right there. You don't need to yell. You don't need to come to God in your best internal and external state. Yeah, you can just, God is right there at any moment, and ready to love you, ready to devise a plan with you, how you can recuperate and get better. And when it happens, usually it's very natural that we want to give, that we want to be this kind of safe space for anybody who needs our love, compassion, and support. So let's pray together. Our dear, beloved Heavenly Parent, thank you so much for this time. We're here as family, as your sons and daughters. And we know, that when we look at each other sometimes, we see our age or our character. But when you look at us, you always see these beautiful big eyes and this pure soul, the way you created us. It's always there. It shines through anything to you. And that's why you can never hate anyone. Your heart always goes to the people who are hurting, but you never see this evil in us. You see only goodness. And it's the constant hope that we can see too. And throughout history, and because of some special people, we have seen glimpses here and there of how it could be when you just live freely from your heart, when you cannot not be open and trusting and careful and loving. So we know that your hope, your greatest hope, is that we stop putting these hopes on other people, no matter how amazing they are, even if they are your only begotten son and daughter. The point was not to put them on a pedestal. The point was for them to show this is how it's done, this is how it can be. And there is still so much more to do and so much more to go. But we know that those moments, those glimpses, when we just feel connected, when we feel love, when we feel embraced by you, this is heaven. We don't have to wait until it's always here. We can create those moments of heaven every day, even if it's just a few moments. But eventually it starts growing. It cannot not to start growing. So we invite you in our week. We invite you in our lives. We are very grateful to have each other, to see those glimpses and to practice love. And we hope that you can keep guiding us how to become the best we can be for ourselves, for you, and then it's naturally would be a great gift that we can give to other people. So on behalf of all of us, all the blessed families here, I want to offer our hearts and love to you in attendance to Holy Mother Han, and in the name of Kazakh Central Blessed Family, I do.